I just wanted to spend just a few minutes to introduce our keynote speaker, Tariq Khan, and then I will hand it over to him to listen from his experience and his words of wisdom. So, of course, he's a seasoned, player in this industry. He co-founded a very successful startup. And now also does a lot of angel investment and really specializes in financing startups at their early stages. Right. He was also a past president of New York chapter of TIE, which is the largest mentoring organization for entrepreneurship. And then if you see, not only he co-founded 24/7 Games, but also invested in Buddi-Health, APDS, Fitbark, and few other companies. So without any further ado, I wanted to hand it over to Tariq. Tariq, I will make you presenter, and then if you could just kindly share your slides, please.
Thank you, Zahir. I did click. Can you see my agenda screen?
Yeah, we can see that.
Good. Okay, well, thank you for the introduction, and I'm honored to help in this really worthwhile cause. It is a good cause, but just to add, nothing's going to happen without tremendous effort on your part and your team. So hang in there, and you will grow. I like the fact about your agenda, quality, not quantity, and some of the words you shared there. Learning and inspire from each other and so on, all good stuff. So to the audience, welcome. And quick question to Zahir, how many people do we have in the audience?
Tariq, we are at 30 at this point.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and I heard morning and evening, so I guess some people are from faraway time zones. So I've been asked to, the talk today is going to be based on real life experience. It's not going to be any kind of how-to guide. There are so many references available that you can use. So I'll keep it to what I've learned and what I've found useful, which guess what, might be totally different to what other even more successful people may find useful. Also, I'll try and make it interactive, so there are a couple of poll questions. And I prefer, my style is that I prefer responding to questions instead of talking. The questions give a context, and that's why with Zahir and Zafar, we've agreed to leave a fair amount of time. So if I finish even before my allotted 7 minutes or whatever it is, I will be very happily just be available to answer questions. So I'm not going to read the agenda point by point, but the focus is what is the journey, and then a couple of journeys from both the entrepreneur perspective and an investor perspective. Then just a little bit of what has to be in there, both from an investor perspective and also from the person who's founding the startup, what they absolutely have to have in there. The last point relates to the fact that unless you're an absolute Superman or Superwoman, you are not going to do it alone. So the importance of the founding team, how I went about that, and how I find successful people going about that, some clues about that. So let's move on to what I call my opening comments. And this is from Dave Thomas. He is the founder of Wendy's. He sort of had an interesting background. He was he never saw his mother. He was adopted at the age of 5. He was passed around. By the age of 9, he was doing his first job, and on. You can read up on him. There's a good write-up in Wikipedia. He says what you need to start a business. And I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. The opening comment is 90% of startups fail. 90% of startups fail. And the other comment is the founder is always on. There's so much research on this. And if you look at online businesses, 99% of online businesses fail. So the other point is the founder is always on. If the founder stays always on, that only gives a slight chance that the company will not fail. So yes, I am scaring you off. And if you are embarking on a journey like this, you better be scared. So with that, why am I making these big comments? Let me just share a little bit of my background. I think the comments come from a lot of times when putting my foot in the wrong places, stepping on bad manholes, stepping on cow paths, and all that kind of stuff. So one thing I have done is I've learned a thing or two from making mistakes, and I'm sure all of you and all of us learn from making mistakes, but sometimes we're not quick about that. So having done 25 years of work in large corporations, it took me 20 years to realize large corporations were not for me, and then another 5 years to kind of get out. Then I started working as a freelance consultant, and that is much easier in many ways. You go in, you do your job, and you get out at 5:30. You're not involved in the politics. You're not taking calls on weekends and so on. And I suspect a bunch of you are either in the freelance stage or in the large corporation stage, and maybe are not 100% comfortable with what you're doing or where it's going. So I had a couple of lucky breaks, and I co-founded one startup. I was CEO of that for 3 years until the guys who I co-founded with, who were far smarter than me and more energetic, they kind of took over, and we did it in a very sort of natural way. And they've done a fantastic job in developing it. I then invested in 5 others, and I'll talk about those 5. I know Zahir mentioned the names of some of them. So the comments today are purely based on the experiences. I learned much more from interactions and doing. I wasn't a very good student at college, and I really have short patience for big books and big strategies and procedure guides and so on. So that's what you will get from this talk.